Hey guys, it's Carla, and this is not Mary. This is another episode of Not Just Lip Service, and I'm here with the fabulous Miss Vanessa Pecly. I am so excited to have her. Today we are going to talk about a kind of an exciting topic that is not well known. I was this year old when I learned about this, and only by meeting Vanessa. And I've had, not a mommy makeover, but gosh, I don't know, what is the word for it? That is ridiculous.
Your breast?
Yeah, like breast implants and I like to say got my boobs back after my kids.
Okay.
So I've had some stuff done, and not a lot or anything, but still I just had never heard of it. So we're going to talk about medical tourism, which is, again, not well known. And I think initially when we first met Vanessa and we talked about her company, My Body by Design, which is a medical tourism company, as medical providers, we were immediately caught off guard, and the first thing that we said, which we'll cover or thought, is, what? And I think that a lot of you guys, you'll have that same thing as we talk to Vanessa. So Vanessa's also one of our good friends. She also now works for Smiley as our Director of Technical Operations and Development. So we met her through My Body by Design, and then just uncovered the fantastical person that she is. So we are so excited to have her today and to talk to her about it. So, Miss Vanessa, will you please give us a little bit of your background, your story too, because I think it's important. Vanessa's from Colombia, and I think that it's, how you got here, and just a little bit of your backstory in terms of My Body by Design and how you did it.
Of course. Well, thank you for having me and allowing me to share my story and what our industry is all about and what My Body by Design is all about. I am originally from Bogota, Colombia. I've been living in the United States for a while now, for about 20 years. And I've always gone back and forth to Colombia. I go once a year to visit my family. And I never thought about having surgery there or having any type of medical procedure over there. It was just not, I'm not going to Colombia for that.
That is a good point, though. I hate to interrupt you right off the bat, which I will do a lot. You literally are from there and go back there frequently, but it never even crossed your mind that so it makes me feel better about not knowing about the industry, because it's not crossing my mind. It's certainly not, and not crossing your mind. I mean, that's okay. That makes me feel a little bit better.
Not even to a dentist, nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I'll get all my work done here,
Yeah.
Like,
and this is home.
Again, this is home.
Sure.
So I go there to vacation, visit my family, and go back home.
Sure.
So about a year ago now, last April, I went to, so I have 2 kids. I went through my pregnancies. After my pregnancies, I lost about 70 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And it took me 2 years to lose all that weight. And when I went to a plastic surgeon in Atlanta, where I'm from, I was quoted $25,000 for a mommy makeover, which would include a tummy tuck and a lipo and a BBL. And I would have to have 2 separate surgeries, because at least in that practice, they don't do the tummy tuck with everything else. The tummy tuck has to be its own. So it's $25,000. Now, if I wanted to have skin removal from arms and legs, was going to be additional. Even more. So hearing those news and understanding that for me was just not an option to be able to afford that type of money,
right?
Especially because it would be not a life of debt, a necessary procedure.
Sure,
it would
not
be
covered by insurance.
Exactly,
it's
not
cash.
covered by insurance. It was really devastating. I got in my car and I just started crying, because, part of the weight loss process was looking forward to that price, right? To get my body back, to get my life back, to, just kind of feel pretty again. And a lot of people think that makes me or makes people shallow, but the reality is I would look in the mirror and feel so depressed.
Right.
Not that I didn't love my body, not that I didn't love my stretch marks, not that I didn't love the process that I went through to get that
and
body.
all the people who are like, oh, that body made those kids. It's like, stop it right
yes,
now.
you
go with that. That's fine.
Yes.
That's not what we're talking about here.
But it is to help my mental health.
Right.
To help to feel better about myself, to feel better about putting a bathing suit on, to feel better being with my husband with the lights on.
Right.
Little things like that is not being shallow, it's just being comfortable with
Absolutely
how I want to be.
Yeah.
So
Well, and to dig in there a little bit, society, that's a societal problem. And so to act like everyone is immune, or to the people that are stand on that high ground and of immunity to society, and whether or not it's unfortunate, it just is what it is. Yeah. So whether it doesn't, even if it's not societal based, there's a level of it that always is. And then there's also just a straight up confidence. Like, yes. I mean, I don't care if I'm naked in my bathroom. I want to feel good about what I see. Like, you want to take care of your body, and that's perfectly fine. So
yes, and there's a lot of shaming on that, and
yes.
putting it like, oh, you're trying to sexualize yourself and all this stuff. I'm not saying there are people that do get surgeries to sexualize themselves, sure. and be Instagram models or whatever it is that they want to do. I get that. But there's a lot of people like me that we just want our body back. Yeah. And we just want to feel good about ourselves.
We're not mad at our kids, or we're not trying to trade them back or anything. You just simply want to.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
And there's so much that you can do with exercise. There's so much that you can do with non-surgical.
Sure.
But there's things that you can just not.
Well, and we're no longer in a society that supports the physical rebounding of moms, mm-hmm. because you are working. You get a few weeks after with the baby that you need to recover, mm-hmm. and to spend time and bond with your child. Then you have to go back to work. Yes. So any time that you need extra time to exercise, do all these things, eat right, we go right back into 40, 50-hour work week where you're doing your best not to eat fast food. You have a hard time finding time to exercise more than 5 minutes a day if you have a chance to do that with a new baby. We are not set up as a society to support the perfectly natural way of bouncing back.
Yeah.
But then we also have people in society that then want to be like, oh, you should just love your body. It's like, and then society is like, oh, you should try harder. And it's like, well, wait a second.
and I think that was what disappointed. I did the work.
Right.
I lost the weight. It took me 2 years to drop all the weight. So I just kind of feel so defeated, because you feel like, oh my God, all this work for nothing, right?
Well, and to feel so trapped, or not, it's trapped because financially you can't afford. I mean, you just can't afford it.
You just can't.
So that's just it. You just have to live with this. I mean, unless you,
So I felt like that. So I was talking to my best friend. Her name is Laura, and she lives in Colombia. She lived here her whole life. We've been friends for over 20 years. But she decided to move back to Colombia with her children, to raise her children in Colombia.
Sure.
Her husband is American, and they live in Colombia. They've been living there for about 5 years now. And I was talking to her. I was like, this happened, and I was crying. And she was like, well, what if I go to a doctor here and pretend to be you and see what they say, see how it is? And I was like, oh, well, yeah, okay. So she went. And she called me back. She's like, I have good news and I have great news. I was like, okay. She's like, good news are that, everything that you want to get done will be in one procedure, and you will pay $10,000 with everything.
Wow. Yeah.
And the great news are that I'm going to get it done.
And by the way, I'm getting me a mommy makeover because this is great. That's awesome. Okay.
So she's like, I'm going to get it done. I'm going to get the same thing you wanted to get done, and I'm going to do it first. I'm like, that is perfect, because you go do it, see if you survive, and see how you look.
I don't want to make you like a martyr, but you go do it. That's a great option. Check it out. Yeah. Because it is hard to come here. Of note, you're from Colombia, mm-hmm. you're from Bogota, you know the city, you know the area, but after being here for 20 years, even you had reservations, which is fair, about like, oh, that's interesting, whether that's an Americanized kind of, conditioning, which kind of feels that way. Yeah. The internet and all that kind of stuff has made some countries just seem like completely like you're going into like a jungle with a hut.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, this is a very normal city, which we'll get to that down the road in a minute. But okay, so Laura decides to get it done.
So she has to get it done, and I was kind of from the distance through the process, so I got to see, what the pre-op process was, all the, exams that she got to get through. She had to go get in a diet, a special diet to go through the surgery, like no salts and like no dairy for like 2 weeks or something. And just kind of prep them for surgery. And then she had the surgery. She spent a night at the hospital. I talked to her. She's like, oh my God, this is so painful. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. She's like, but I looked in the mirror and I already look great. I was like, okay. So then she told me that she went home and she was getting a nurse to come to her house to help her get dressed, to help her shower, to do her lymphatic massages, put her clothes back on and everything. And it was all covered by, what she paid to the hospital, and her medicines were covered, her garments were covered, everything. Like, she didn't have to pay a dime more than what she paid. Was a one payment that covered everything.
That is crazy, and I don't want to get off track, but I recently, believe it or not, had viral meningitis, which doesn't happen to me, which is wild, back in July. And, you get the bill, and I'm one that always asks for an itemized bill because, you get one that has a total number, and you're like, seriously? I think I was in the hospital for 2 or 3 days, I don't remember now, and each it was like $42,000, and I mean, I had a spinal tap, obviously, in some things, and then it was mostly just maintenance. They're making sure that you don't have bacterial or whatever, but I mean, nothing special, like on a regular med-surg unit, and that stay was like $40,000 on paper, and it's like, you're talking about having a significant surgery, plus the care after, the massage, all that stuff, all included for 10. Like,
yes.
Like, it's just hard not to be like, man, we got some stuff wrong here. We have got some stuff wrong, and we won't go down those pathways today, but woo, it's tough. Okay, so she had a good experience.
Therefore, 3 months later, I waited for her to heal, so she could help me.
Yeah, sure. So she could be the person to help me.
So she can help me. So I went down there and went through the exact same process. I actually stayed at a hotel that the doctor recommended because it's very close to the clinic, so it was easier for the nurse to get there. And like, if anything, if I needed to, for the doctor's appointment with closer, I stayed at that great hotel. All the meals were included, so I went to bed. I was like, it's like, okay, well, this is it. Do you want meals? I was like, what do you mean? Yeah, for this much, you get 3 meals. I was like, oh, yes, of course.
Yeah.
So it was a whole package with all the meals, and they'll bring you the meals to the room if you didn't want to go down to the dining room. So I got the whole thing, and then the nurse will come to the hotel and do all this stuff. Anyway, I had the best experience. I couldn't believe how great it was. So all in all, with the ticket, with the hotel, the whatever extra expenses and everything, was a total of like $14,000.
Right. Wow.
So not even close to the 25.
Yeah.
And 1 surgery.
Yeah.
And the post care and everything, right? So
and the 25, for the record, I don't know, and I don't want to speak to it. Maybe you do know. Did it include the massages after the post? Yeah. So I mean, 25 was like a starting point, right? Like,
actually, they don't do massages.
Oh, as part of the posts, they just tell you to go get them.
Well, I asked, and he said no. That the doctor in Atlanta said that he didn't recommend massages because you will have drains and you will naturally just kind of like get out the liquid out. But from the surgery, I learned that the massages are to help the liquid come out. But because after you have lipo, your fat is kind of like fresh. It's to help you mold your body.
Yeah. Okay.
So with the garment and the massages, you're not only making sure that the liquid is out, because if not,
it's like healing the way you want it to.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sure.
It molds your body too, because if you have liquid left, it just solidifies. Yeah. And then you have like bumps.
Pockets. Okay. Sure. I mean, gosh, you talk about like filler.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. I mean, we massage after filler. I mean, that's not the same thing, but it sounds very similar to
so that's
getting it to do what you want it to do. Sure.
Yeah,
okay.
Molding. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I come back. And I go back to work, I go back to my office, and everybody's like, oh my God, you look great. Where do you get it done? How do you do it? And I'm just telling them, oh, this doctor, this hotel, this is how you buy your ticket. And they were like, oh my God, great, can you help me? Yeah, I can help you. And then I went home, and my husband was like, you should charge people for that.
Yeah.
And I was like, but why? He was like, you're pretty much booking everything, like an agency, like a travel agency.
Yeah.
Like, people charge for that. I was like, oh, well, I didn't think about that. And I went on Google to try to understand, and I come to realize there's an actual industry called medical tourism.
That's right.
That is not something I came up with. It just existed already.
Right.
But I just didn't know about it.
Yeah.
So that's how it started. We started small with, with 2 pilot clients, one having the lipo and the mommy makeover for my job, and the other gentleman was a friend from somebody at my job, and he was doing dental, and the lady was doing the lipo and the mommy makeover. And I had the opportunity to go with them and make sure they went through the same process I went through, same hotel, same doctors.
Right.
The dentist was Laura's dentist, where she takes her family, her kids.
Sure.
And, I just want to make sure, walk every step of the way with them to make sure,
Right.
fixing little kinks and little things.
Yeah.
And since then, it's been great. And,
But you did those pilot clients to then ensure that your process at My Body by Design was, there's no other word for it. It's really white glove service is what you guys are doing.
Yes.
And so, of note, obviously we support Vanessa because she has her role here, which had nothing to do with her company, and still doesn't to this day. However, that being said, when we met her and got into the medical tourism, got interested in it because it does feed right into aesthetics. And there's plenty of things people ask us about recommendations for, obviously, cosmetics, aesthetics, and plastic surgery go hand in hand, and they're in the same industry. And Mary and I were not skeptical. We were just, when we first learned about it, we were like, what? Because a lot of medical providers will be, you say, oh, you should go to Columbia and get surgery. And people, the first thought is like, Columbia? Like, you just don't think, why would I don't know. It's just a scary thought. And so after we looked into it, and we looked at, and we're part of Vanessa's process at one point, with her partnering on a couple things, the validation and the credibility is there. And so My Body by Design, Smiley Aesthetics 100% stands behind you guys. We're talking about medical tourism here as a whole, really. That's really what the information is here. But I just want it to be clear that we definitely recommend her services and their company because they have done the work to be credible, to get with the physicians. They are transparent on pricing. They are transparent on who they work with, on the process, on every single thing, and we've actually seen it. So I just wanted to put that in there. So when she's mentioning her process, it truly is from My Body by Design. So anyways, you guys did the pilot clients. That helped you guys create your service to make it, it's custom in a lot of ways, and we'll talk about that, but it's also a white glove, which is pretty awesome. You guys are there the entire time. So you had your pilot clients, but let's now break down the pre, the during, and the post.
Yes.
And let's use a mommy makeover by example. And talk to me a little bit about how long you're in Columbia. Like, let's talk all about that, because I think that is one of my big questions was for you right away was like, well, how long are you down there? And what does that look like? Because post-op period, sure, you're in the hospital a day or two here, but then what about follow-up and all that kind of stuff? Does that, all that's included? So first though, let's start with the pre. And what happens prior to you? Okay, I call you and I want to get a mommy makeover in Columbia. What happens?
So basically we meet with you online just to make sure that you qualify for the procedure.
Sure.
Not everybody qualifies for every procedure. So there are different, standards for it. So we talk to you, we walk you through the process, we walk you how the experience will go through. And then we book an appointment with the provider to see, for example, for plastic surgery, you upload pictures. They see the pictures, but then you have to meet with them in person just to make sure that it's the same person in the pictures.
You meet with them in person or?
No, virtual.
Virtually, so
Yes.
on telehealth, but on screen, face to face. Got it.
Yes, make sure that that it is a person and what
you're
they're
not
saying
sending
is.
pictures from 5 years ago.
Exactly.
Or got it.
So we do that for all the procedures. Dental, with dental, we upload. We have them upload X-rays.
Okay.
But the dentist also sees them and makes sure that again, it is what it is.
Right.
So then after that, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
You think you can edit this?
You're okay. She said, "Do you think you can edit this?"
I'm so
I'm like,
sorry.
one of my children is about to come out here. This is a formally informal podcast. As I said, honey, can you please go talk to Mimi? Yeah. Mommy's doing something. Thank you, baby. This is
Okay.
It's
Sorry.
always a thing. It's okay.
Anyway, so that's for that. But for gastric bypass and gastric sleeve, it's a different process actually. The person has to go through 3 evaluations. The first evaluation is the medical evaluation, make sure that they are medically fit for the procedure. Their BMI has to be 35. They cannot have any type of thyroid issues. They have to go get lab work done and send it to the doctor in Columbia. So there's a process on the medical side. Then they
And
have
this is for bariatric, like gastric sleeves
all
and stuff?
bariatric, yes.
Got it,
Gastric
okay.
sleeve and gastric bypass. And then if they pass that, then they go to the psychologist,
Okay.
and they go through a psychological evaluation
Okay.
to make sure that there are not any eating disorders or anything like that, or body dysmorphia or anything like that. And then lastly, if they pass that, then they go to a nutritionist to make sure to see if they're ready to make, changes in their nutrition, in their habits, and all that stuff.
So, you're talking through all this, and my first thought process is, whew, that's a lot. And for a lot of people who are going through something like this, it's hard to, I'm not going through that surgery, but for those that are ready for it, like this, they do all of those things. But what's really triggering me is the level of safety and quality and pre-checks. Like, it sounds very similar, if not more, to what we do here, which is great. And I think that's a lot of people's question is the quality and the safety and the level of care the same or better? And so before we get off this, because I really don't want to breeze over it as we dig in here, the physicians. So as part of quality and safety, which is part of what you should be doing pre-check, should be making sure the physician is not, some guy with a scalpel in a hut, as we've talked about before, whether that's here in a back alley or anywhere else. Talk to me a little bit about the physicians, because that was, I think, one of the things that shocked me and Mary the most when we went, because I went down a rabbit hole Googling people. On y'all's website, the physicians that you guys work with, tell me a little bit about that and the one fascinating thing about them that we've talked about before.
So yes, all the physicians are, board certified, they're professionals, they are the top doctors in Bogota, and all the physicians that we work with have had their training, some sort of training in universities here in the United States, in Europe, and like Harvard, Emory, not any type of
I couldn't believe
clinic.
that when it's not that I couldn't believe it, but it was just it's so silly. Like we have talked in the past about you had a client that got a dental implant, and his implant came from America because it was shipped from the United States, and it was the exact same implant that you would have gotten here, but it would have been $8,000 here or something like that, and it's only $2,000 there. That you can, it makes me cringe a little bit, but I completely understand why physicians, because there is, of course, good education, good healthcare here, but all the red tape, the insurance, the cost, the prices, a lot of them can't do what they want to do because they can't service the clientele they want to service because you can't afford it. So it does make sense to go somewhere where it's cheaper, but they are literally trained and have their medical degrees, residencies, fellowships, all those things here, and then just shows. You even talked about, and you've talked in the past about somebody who worked in Miami for 9 or 10 years or 8 years and then decided to go back home to Colombia.
Yes, the bariatric doctor.
Yes.
He worked in the Cleveland Clinic in Miami for 8-9 years, and then he went back to Colombia, and then he continued his career there. So it's something that, the level of, professionalism and quality, just, not bragging, but it's just Colombia is known for plastic surgery. Colombia is known for like their dental work, and it has become very popular. It's very popular. Colombia, Brazil, even Mexico has great places too. However, it has a bad reputation because there are horror stories. People that, and I have seen how that could happen because I've met with prospects that are like saying, oh, well, that's too expensive because my friend crossed the border in Mexico and it was $2,000, so why can it be cheaper?
And they were in Mexico for 2 days.
2 days.
Yeah.
And sent them home with drains. And that's how people die. Because they think that they can just cross the border, go somebody's basement and, get it done. And it's true. That is true. That's not something that does not
it's like
happen.
anything. We can go find knockoffs here in alleys. We can go find all that type of stuff that holds true for any country. I think for sure. Access is definitely harder in some places, sure, and easier in others, but it holds true that quality, you do get what you pay for. And there is a certain point where it is too cheap. We talk about, Mary and I talked frequently about if someone's selling Botox for $7 a unit, there should be question marks. There should be question marks about where it's coming from. You don't see that because of its expensive stuff. So where are you getting it? What is it actually? What's happening with that? And so we always encourage quality and safety and compliance. That's what we stand on. So this is no different. You have to do, your background, your research, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, what it sounds like is a good place to start if you're in the United States would be go see what it would require to get that surgery here, and then compare it to the medical tourism agency that you are looking to work with. Like everything, I say shop. I mean, it's getting different quotes or different experiences with different people, different companies, but the pre-work should match what it is here, because America does have a very high level standard of care. So we do have good quality health care. I don't think that's in question. So if it's the exact same stuff or more, that would be a very good place to start with a lot of this. Or would you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. Just anything that you do, even if you're going to get something done here, research, your provider, research, reviews, what have people said about them, how does the clinic look like, everything, because that does matter, right? And a lot of people ask, but why is it so much cheaper? And it's just because it's economics, it's the quality of life. $1 is equal to 5 in Colombia. So that's just how the economy works in Colombia.
That's just currency, and that's in life in general.
Exactly.
In the world.
So dollars last more in Colombia, However, for people in Colombia, whatever you're paying in Colombia in dollars is equivalent to what somebody will pay here. In dollars, right?
Sure.
So the doctors that they're seeing, the facilities, everything, it's top quality as you will get it here.
Oh goodness. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Vanessa.
It's okay.
This will be the last time that we don't need to do. Okay, it's gonna ask mommy now. I understand that, but unfortunately, mommy's working, and so now I need my other phone.
Sorry, Gabe, you're just gonna have to. Okay.
I apologize about that, everyone.
Okay.
Moms, you mentioned something about, or you're talking about top quality in Bogota. So talk about Bogota, because I think, again, a lot of the misconception or whatever the media, I mean, the bane of our existence and social media and all that is seeing the horror stories first. That's just what attracts and likes and follows and all that type of stuff. So talk about Bogota. Like, what kind of city is it? You grew up there. You're from there. What do you expect when you land in Bogota? We're in Nashville, by example. Like, make a comparison.
Bogota is very much like New York. It's the capital
big,
of Colombia. It's
bustling.
big.
Okay.
If you think that you're going to Bogota, you're going to go to a beach because you think it's South America, it is not.
Yeah.
It's
a city.
It's a city, pretty much like New York, is where all the business moves. It's like, the big buildings, the car, like the traffic, everything, the cold.
So exactly like a Nashville or any other city you're going to see.
So it's very metropolitan city that, it's just busy. And, a lot of people think that it's unsafe. Yeah, depending where you go.
Just like where we're sitting right now.
Anywhere.
3 blocks from here is not the safest area I would, want to be.
Yes.
So yeah, you have to be aware.
You have to be aware. You have to be self-aware. You have to be, vigilant like you would anywhere. But for the most part, just like in any city, like you're fine. You're living. You're about your life. And
we'll talk about that a little bit more. Let's dig into that. So physical safety. We know about the medical safety. You've gone into that, and then we'll move into the actual. I want to continue down the mommy makeover example for how long you're there, et cetera. But let's talk about physical safety. So when you arrive, you and Laura you help them here, and then Laura meets them when they hit the ground. So talk about literal physical safety in Bogota, and then is there anything else that they can do while they're there, or how does all that work?
Yeah, so I take care of the onboarding here. I take care of finding their flights. I help them, even though flights are not part of what we offer. I do help them, find the flights, get the documentation.
I'm so sorry. I just want to make note of that because you are so transparent. So if you're getting a mommy makeover and it's $10,000, then that includes everything but flights.
Exactly.
Which is, okay, that's fine. But the hotel, everything else there.
Everything is included but the flight. But I help them find the flights.
Sure, of course.
And I send them the link and all that stuff. Once they arrive to Colombia, and they have already met Laura through online, we have explained to them how the process was going to be. Laura's waiting for them. She picks them up. They go straight to a hotel. She walks them all the way to their room, make sure that she knows where the room is, making sure that the room is to the standards that we want it to be, and that they are comfortable and that they're ready. Then the following day, she picks them up to go to get their pre-work lab done for anything that they need to do, which is pretty much anything but dental, you need to get work done. Even if, for bariatric, even if you get it work done here beforehand, they make you do it again.
Yeah,
just
there's
to make sure.
some dental work you need.
Yeah, if you're getting
blood
surgery,
thinner. I mean, there's all kinds of things you might need.
Yes.
Yeah. So Laura walks into the room. It's not so much that for the safety of the person. It's more what it sounds like is that the person feels safe.
Yes.
I feel like you guys have thought of, and we haven't even gotten halfway through your process, but I've just thought of all the things that people think of, like safety, by example. I'm going to walk you all the way to I'm going to be with you the whole step of the way, all the way to your room, so that you can see how normal, what a normal existence this is. And I think that's really important because.
Well, she helps them connect to Wi-Fi, like make sure that their Wi-Fi is working.
Oh, wow.
Helps them, with the TV, make sure the TV is.
White glove.
Making sure that they know how to call for their food when they want to eat. Give them the Uber Eats, like how to order food if they don't want the food from the hotel. So she makes sure that they're good, that they're comfortable there.
But in doing that, you realize how, like Uber Eats, like the TV, this is I really do feel like I've heard people say just their thoughts are just so far away from it is a completely normal city. And by normal are relative to an American city. It is just a normal city.
It is.
So I think that extra layer of her doing those things, I've never had anybody do that for me in anything I've ever done in my life. So that is a really thoughtful, just a thoughtful thing that I think is really good.
Well, people are, first of all, taking the risk of having a surgery, period.
Right, which is
here
scary.
or there or anywhere, that's a risk. And also going outside of their country, that's two risks that you're taking. So we do try to make them feel as comfortable as humanly possible, so they don't have to even think about how do I connect to Wi-Fi.
What about language?
So Laura speaks to them in English the whole time. Laura and I are both certified medical interpreters from UGA.
Okay.
We did it together. We went to a course together. She, because she lived here for so long, is not only that she's bilingual, but she also understands the culture, the American culture. So she knows the dialects and she knows the slang and she knows how to interpret what the doctor is saying to the patient. So that also adds another layer of
comfort. Absolutely. And even safety, because sometimes we get so hung up in our slang terms and all that. I mean, you have to layer on the actual certification to be able to translate. And then you have the ability to translate not only the way you're supposed to medically into layman terms in the appropriate language, but then you also add in the benefit of those cultural norms that will then make somebody even more comfortable. And really help alleviate any of those pressures of all of those things. Okay.
We thought about the fact, you're already nervous, you're already overwhelmed. Imagine not being able to communicate those feelings, or you're already after the pulse, you're in pain, and not being able to explain what hurts. So those are the things that we are with them at specific moments, right? So during that onboarding at the hotel, we take them to the next day to get their labs done. And we're with them. We wait outside whenever they tell us to wait outside, but most of the time we're attached to their hip.
Right.
And something important to say, when they sign up with us, they do sign a consent to for their medical information to be shared with us.
Oh, of course, right.
So there's a consent
that part's
there.
covered, sure.
Yes,
of
the
course.
is covered there.
Do you guys want them to bring somebody with them, or does it matter?
No, we always recommend to bring somebody with them.
Which makes perfect sense.
The hotel has double occupancy. Their food is covered as well. So it's important for them to have somebody to be there with them. Because we cannot sleep at the hotel with them.
Right.
So
you're going to be alone.
There is just so much.
Now, do you require it, or you just strongly encourage it?
Yeah, we strongly encourage it, and we've had people that have gone alone, and what they do is that we offer the nurse, so the nurse goes the 10 days, but if you want her to stay with you, you pay extra for the night.
Okay,
so she can stay with them overnight.
Okay, so you mentioned 10 days. So talk about that in relation, because that is a long time. And I think that's one of the things that could be a potential hurdle or something. Because if you have surgery here, obviously you're going to go home after a couple days. And now sometimes, I've talked about this before, you think about 10 days alone in a hotel room. I mean, you're in pain, but it's still just like, huh. Whereas here, you're going to go home and that 2-year-old, that 4-year-old, that 5-year-old, that 7-year-old is all over. I mean, your duties just don't end, and they just, mom, dad, it doesn't matter. You're just expected to kind of go back, depending on your support system. So I can see the positives and the negatives. I can see the positives of being there alone for healing, because the bottom line is we're supposed to chill and heal and not be moving and shaking and too much to a certain degree. But then the negatives of being just alone and having to be away from here for 10 days. So is 10 days for a mommy makeover, or talk about that a little bit?
So for facial surgeries, it's 8 to 10 days, depending on what you're getting done.
Sure.
For lipo or skin removal is about 10 days. For mommy makeover, it's 14 days.
Okay.
For bariatric is 15 days.
Okay. Are those the longest?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, I mean, 2 weeks is a long time, but, knowing what we know and what a lot of people, our listeners know, is that that's a realistic and more time than you need to get back on your actual feet. So here, when you're home, you get back on your feet, and then we typically do a very poor job of then once we're on our feet, we're like, all right, I'm on my feet now.
Good.
I mean, Mary's sitting here.
I was gonna say.
I know, and she's a perfect example. Had a pretty significant surgery. She's fine. Wednesday, and was back at work Friday, just because you can stand on your feet.
Yeah.
And this, we were really bad about being like, all right, because I can, here I am.
Yeah.
And that is not really what's best. We all know that's not what's best for healing. 2 weeks is a long time, and that is a commitment. But I feel like people who have this level of surgery, whether it's a mommy makeover or gastric bypass, 2 weeks is a blip on the radar, considering all that has happened to get to that point and all the work. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It is a small period of time. So do you guys talk about that with the clients and help them work through some of that? Or
Yes, especially it has become easier because a lot of people work remotely. For
that is a great point, Vanessa.
Yeah, so when I went to get my surgery, I only asked for 1 week PTO. So the week of the surgery.
You worked in the hotel, didn't you?
And then the second week I work online. So
or wherever. I guess you didn't have to stay in your room. I mean,
So you could just work the second week there.
Because Bogota's in Central Time, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's literally the same time zone. I think it's another
and
almost like a myth. People are like, oh, what is it, tomorrow? And it's like, no, it's actually just right now. It's the exact same time right now. Yeah. Okay, that's a great point. I didn't think, and that's a very good thing to consider, especially since COVID. Yeah. I mean, almost now, some of us, of course, we're not talking to every single person, but a lot of us do have jobs where we are able to perform our work remotely. Unfortunately, in the medical profession, obviously, there are a lot of our listeners that doesn't necessarily apply. However, the fact that you can work remote, that does allow a larger population to cut down on the work portion. I mean, of course, your family and all those types of things, but for a lot of us, it is the work thing that can be challenging. So, okay, that's I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So, so that will be the longest time, and also, they do sign a contract that they will not leave the country until they're medically discharged by the doctor. And, part of this whole pack, so everything's included, as we said, the procedure, the hotel, the food, medication, the massages, the garments, everything that comes with the surgery.
Wow.
For bariatric patients, they have these little shot glasses that they have to take their proteins in. We give them the protein.
Yeah, the small sips or whatever.
Yes, everything that
y'all
they
have
need.
thought of everything.
Yes. So everything's included in within those packages. We also have medical insurance. So
okay, that's a great thing to bring up. Okay.
Yes. So within the medical insurance, it's something that if something, God forbid, happens to the patient, what they're under surgery, all expenses to do whatever is necessary are covered.
Okay.
And then also it covers them 45 days after surgery.
Wow. Okay.
So if something, they need a revision or whatever the situation is, something happens.
It is covered.
It is covered. They will have to come back to Colombia to get it done, but the expenses are covered.
The flights and everything. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's dig into that just a little bit. So that's, what that tells me? Yes, I can see people being like, oh, I have to come back to Colombia. But I mean, okay. What that tells me is that you do sincerely trust the quality of the work. Yes. And that staying there that length of time ensures that because we all know about insurance, right? Insurance is going to do everything possible before they insure you to ensure that they're never going to have to pay for anything for you. I mean, that is the point of insurance. So, well, I say that's the point. That's what happens with insurance. And to try to guess how much it might take or whatever the case is, they must really believe that what you guys are doing is appropriate, high quality, and safe. And that time frame is the right time frame to make sure you are truly healing. And 2 weeks, as a lot of us know, is that sounds very much realistic for any of those surgeries, for a true healing, drains coming out, all that type of stuff. But then to come back to America and still cover for another 30 days, like that just really speaks to the quality of what you guys are doing and what they trust, because people wouldn't insure that if they didn't really think there was a robust process there. So
and it's
that
like the doctor's insurance, right? So it's an insurance that's covering the doctor.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that just heightens the credibility, just goes through the roof, in my opinion, with stuff like that. And that's the kind of stuff I think that is important for listeners to hear and to share, because those are the credible things that people understand. It's difficult to understand some things in medicine. It's difficult to translate in layman terms. It's so overwhelming to think about this entire process, which you guys literally handle the whole thing. But those are those things that, if I was marketing, I would hone in on stuff like that, because that's what speaks to people. If I didn't think this was going to work, why would I cover you for 30 days after you get back home when you could do anything? You could go jump off of a trampoline like an idiot. And, obviously that's a bad example. Nobody do that. But you're trusting that the actual healing process did and happened the way it was supposed to. That's just a big deal to me. I just don't want to breeze over that.
And something that I forgot to share with you, we actually just partnered with a medical tourism insurance company recently, like about 2 or 3 months ago. And they are actually, it's an add-on. The person will have to pay them directly, but they're pretty much covered if they get robbed in Colombia.
Okay.
If they
like
lose
travel
their flight.
insurance.
Like travel insurance, but also medical, like if something was to happen to them medically down there.
Okay.
So, and it covers their companion too.
Oh, gosh.
So, we recently partnered up with them, and
that's awesome.
It's really good too.
I mean, y'all have thought, I know I keep saying it, y'all have thought of everything. I mean, to try to make it safe and realistic and to quell people's fears, but also affordable. Like, it's just what we're all about here too, like at Smiley. We're just trying to bring awareness and knowledge about things that are oftentimes you only see the nightmares or whatever the case is, and also affordability, like not raising prices to astronomical heights just because you're in a market that you can. That's not what you're just continuing to cut out more and more people, and I just feel like you guys really are aligned with our mission too, which is why we just think so highly of you. So I did want to ask you to pivot a little bit. Is there anything else you can, I mean, Colombia, I'm like, it's a beautiful country. I don't know anything about it. What else, can we do anything else while we're there? Or what do you I would assume before the surgery, you would probably want to but you have options for that? Or?
Yes, so we also offer tourism packages. Yes, we do recommend for them to come do it before any procedure. Even though if you have dental, you can do it after if it's not such a big procedure.
Sure.
But before, we have 3. We have one that is the salt mines, and this is a salt mine underground that they turn into a church. So you literally go underground and see the church. So
awesome.
If you Google salt mine in Colombia, you'll see it. And then we also have a coffee farm tour where you go and pick the coffee and go through the whole process of the coffee until you get to drink the coffee.
Right.
So it's really nice. I love that farm.
That's amazing. Actual Colombian coffee.
Yeah, actual Colombian coffee.
Okay.
And then the third one's just the Bogota City tour where...
Oh, great. Okay.
Yes, where...
Because Bogota is old. I'm sure there's a bunch of museums.
Yes,
and
a lot of museums.
A lot going on there.
A lot going on there. And Laura's husband, Frankie, is the one that, takes care of all the tours.
The New York American husband. So another layer of...
Yes. So...
That's amazing.
And he's learned Spanish to be able to communicate. But there's not a lot of communication there in Spanish because you're touring with him.
Sure.
And he's able to just speak for whatever you need there.
Sure.
But yeah, most people do it before. I had someone who went with their husband, and the husband did the tours while the lady was recovering. So it's just...
Well, all right,
He left
sir.
her at the hotel and then went to do.
I
the
mean,
tour.
I'm not that mad at it. If I was gonna go do something, that's probably what I have to do to convince my husband.
Yeah.
To stay with me for a week over there. Be like, okay, you can go do stuff.
You get to have fun.
Okay. Well, that's awesome that you have that. I mean, I'm gonna say it again. You thought of everything. That's fantastic. That is that's truly fantastic. Okay, what else have we not covered? I mean, you're so thorough in what you guys have done that just walking through your process covers so much of what you guys, what I would ask about medical tourism. Is there anything else you want to add?
I think that if anybody's considering medical tourism, to really read about it, we have a lot of information in our website. We have a lot of blogs, but go outside of us and see what else is out there for you.
Okay.
Maybe not necessarily Colombia, but other places. So if you ever thought about, I want to get something done that is impossible for me. And, I always come back to talk about the story about our pilot client who he didn't have his front two teeth for years. He had an accident. He couldn't eat. He couldn't smile. Like the quality of his life was just miserable. And people put money together to help him through this. So and being part of that process and watch him smile for the first time and get his implants, it was very, very rewarding for us because you're changing someone's life.
His life, yeah.
So things like that. So if people have something that you really think is just impossible, the way I felt here, it's impossible for me, there are options, but always make sure that you are researching where you're going to doctors and also be self-aware once you're there, because we can protect you all we can and do everything you can, but if you pull yourself in risk, then something.
I mean, that's you. That's wonderful. You said it perfectly. I feel like you're so driven by your mission to help people.
Yeah.
Truly, both of you are. And Laura is just as passionate, and she's also just fantastic. I mean, like Salt Mine. Y'all are just both just fantastic. And so if someone wanted to figure out a quote or something for a particular type of surgery, because you guys do a lot more than the surgeries we've talked about. And again, just say mybodybydesign.com is her medical tourism agency. Again, we're always about shopping around. I mean, I'm happy to skip the shopping, quite frankly, and we're credibility vetting. We stand behind her and her company 100%. But if you want to look at pricing and stuff, shop around. But My Body by Design, so if I wanted to figure out, hey, I want an implant and I want a mommy makeover, I mean, what would I do?
So you can go to our website, and the first step, if you like, is request a price list.
Okay.
You will see a price list, and the prices that you see are the prices, the total price that you pay for the package.
Okay, so no extra, you're not hiding anything?
No.
Right.
So, and then you'll see we charge 15% of that total amount.
That's your fee? That's
Our
it?
fee is 15% on.
That's not even as much as I tip a waiter.
I know.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, we would just want to make it as affordable as possible, and so you get the quote, and then you can schedule a consultation with us. We go through the whole vetting process, and we give you the quote with now everything itemized with everything that cost. And then from that point on, if the person does want to move forward, then we have the consultation with the doctor.
Okay.
And most of our clients now, we do layaway programs, so not even financing, but we help them save the money.
Oh, got it. Okay, so start now and maybe have the surgery in next year.
Yes. So we had
That's awesome.
3 in November that started last year. So
Got
they
it.
finished their payment plan and they were able to go. So we either, figure out the payment situation and then start the process of the booking and the consultations and all that stuff.
Okay. Okay. So you go on your website and you can fill out the form to get a quote or request. Again, I love the transparency. It's so difficult nowadays. I feel like everyone is so not transparent. It's like, well, you got to talk to us first, and it's like it either
I just
is what it
want to know
is. I mean,
give me an estimate.
Just tell me what the price is. I mean, or I don't understand. I'd rather know what the price is flat than have somebody that starts here and I can work them down to here.
Yeah.
I just want to know what your price is.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that from you guys. So you fill out your quote form. Again, My Body by Design. You can fill out that form, get more information. Vanessa is Vanessa at SmileyAesthetics.com, which we're happy for her to receive or any questions or anything.
Yeah.
As we wrap this up, you can comment on this this YouTube. We do monitor. We can send any questions to Vanessa. You can email her directly as well. Her and Laura are always available to answer questions. This is one of those that we're truly not trying to necessarily promote My Body by Design. It's more, we really want to educate the world on the medical tourism option. We don't do surgery, obviously, at Smiley Aesthetics. We don't have any plastic surgery partners or anything like that. So it truly is an option that you can do to get some of those more advanced things done, to feel better and more confident about yourself. And we really stand behind owning your beauty from the inside out. And whatever makes you feel better about yourself within reason is absolutely something that you should do. So please share this YouTube podcast, because we want other people to hear this information and the transparency with which she says it. And then you can take that transparency and compare it to as you shop or whatever the case is. You have everything you could ever want to know about what their company does and how they do it. So we wanted the word to get out there about medical tourism, and that it is safe, it is a viable option, and that it is out there and it can be done. We do want to do our normal like and subscribe, all that. You can find Vanessa and My Body by Design on Instagram, right?
Yeah. At My Body by Design.
At My Body by Design, nailed it. So simple, so easy. Of course, I'm C Smiley Injector on Instagram. You could also find us on Patreon. We have a bunch of information on there about aesthetics, business, just all kinds of things. And it's just patreon.com/SmileyAesthetics. Again, share this podcast if you enjoyed it at all, and please give us any and all feedback or questions or comments about things you'd like us to talk about or explore.
Yes.
We love bringing people on the show and educating people to things they wouldn't know about, like medical tourism.
Medical tourism.
Yeah. Thank you, Vanessa. We appreciate you being on here so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys, until next time.